have like 3 seconds. Hi. I'll move over here. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tinsel Town tonight. Tinsel Town Live with Miz Meliz. That's me. Tonight, I have a very special guest. I'm so happy to have Anna Oginski. Where are you from? Where are you right now, Anna?
I'm in Brighton, Michigan.
She's from Michigan. It's so exciting to meet people from different places. And Anna is the author of a book called My New Friend Grief, which is reflections on loss and life. And it's a very beautiful, you can see how pretty it is. It's a very beautiful and positive story. And she's going to share a little bit about that with us tonight. So thank you so much for being here, Anne, and welcome to Tinsel Town.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
That's awesome. Well, go ahead. Well, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I live in Michigan, and I'm a mom. I have 3 kids. They are a boy who's 10, a boy who's 14, and a little girl who's 8.
Aww.
Not so little anymore, but and I like to write. I make art.
Oh, what kind of art do you make?
I do mixed media art.
Nice, nice. I have to tell you about my art show. We have an art show that I do every week. It's where people can join and do some mixed media and decorative art projects online via a platform like this.
Oh, that's so neat.
Yeah. So that's really cool. And what else do you like to do? As a mom of 3, you must be pretty busy.
Yeah, we were running around town all the time, going to different activities. And I'm also, I just finished yoga teacher certification.
Oh, that's great.
At the beginning of the year. So I'm trying to, now it's almost the next year, but
yeah.
I'm trying to do yoga, and I have facilitated retreats for women in Northern Michigan, which is really fun, and teach classes. I teach Zentangle. Are you familiar with Zentangle?
I sure am. Yeah, Zentangle. Yeah, I do mandalas, and I've tried with Zentangle a little bit, or that. But normally, I just do the mandalas. So neat.
I love those too. That's great.
We have a lot in common. I'm so happy to meet you.
Me too. And then I write. That's my thing.
That's your thing. How did you get into writing?
It started when I was a really little girl. My grandma got me my first journal, and I was, it just became the way that I processed what was going on around me, kind of that whole free writing, emptying out, trying to make sense of the world.
Yeah, that's so cool. Now, is this your first book that you had published?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've had a blog, and I've done a couple articles, but this is my first book.
Nice. And so what, obviously something happened that had you writing this story, but what really pushed you to that point where you wanted to have this published?
Yeah, that's a good question. When I was a little girl, I wanted to be a writer. That was my dream. And then once I, went through college and graduate school, and I had my children, I thought, this is never going to happen. There's no time to write a book.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe when I'm 50 or 80 or, I just thought I'm going to have to put it off for a while. So after my dad passed away, and that really rocked my world. It was the first time in a really long time that I had given myself space to just be a person and not feel like I had to fulfill obligations. And it was because I wanted to do grief the right way.
The right way, or
I thought
like an adult grown-up way, or how you always imagined? Okay.
Right. So I read about how important it was to let yourself grieve, which is not something I was used to doing. I had stuffed my feelings. So anyway, after my dad passed away, and I started working with a life coach, and I told him that I had always wanted to write a book, but I decided that I wasn't doing that because there wasn't time in my life. And he said, why not? So we started working on a plan, and I worked on the book off and on for years. And then it just got to the point where I felt like I would literally die if I didn't get it out of me and publish it. So I decided to self-publish. And then once I made that commitment, it was, a financial investment. So that was a way of holding myself accountable.
Yes. Okay. So that's good that you did it that way, I think, because I wrote a book and self-published about 3 years ago, and I did everything free. I took every free option there was just to be able to do, like you said, I put it out there. I was going to do it. I was going to complete that goal. I myself am a life coach, so I kind of put myself through that same type of plan, vision and setting out that goal. And it was a huge accomplishment to finish and be on time. And I pushed myself really hard. So I totally know where you're going through, but I couldn't do the monetary commitment. And then because of that, then I wasn't really caring about selling it. I just it was more about publishing it. So that'll be the next time.
It's so interesting you say that, because the only way I could get through was by not being attached to the outcome. And then the company that I was working with, each point they would say, okay, now we can sell you these services. And so the marketing team came and said, this is what we offer. And, have you thought about marketing your book? And I said, no, I'm not attached to the outcome. What are you talking about? Right. So yeah, it's pretty fascinating how much is involved. And from start to finish, it's a huge undertaking.
Well, I have to say, I'm glad that you did go for the marketing package, whatever that they offered, because I'm assuming that's how I found you. I got an email as a blogger. I am, I don't know, on some list or something, and I started doing interviews like this, and it's great because almost daily I get requests to review books, and yours was one of them, and I was just really gravitated towards the theme and your story, and I felt like we had a lot in common. So I got the book, and I have to say, I started reading it, and I thought, I have to wait until I'm done working and I'm on vacation these next few days to read this, because it came so close to my own story that and I was already feeling a little sad, missing my parents, because this is Grandparents' Day at the school today. It'll be the day before Thanksgiving vacation. We have Grandparents' Day where I work, and we have a huge thing. And I always wish my parents could be there. And so, it's been many, many years since my parents passed away, but that always comes up certain times. So I thought, okay, I'm going to read this. But I loved the first part in the what do you call that? Where dear sweet reader. I love that. So you talked about how your mom had said that kind of talk that we give people about how it's part of life and how it's a beautiful thing, and I said that too, and that I wrote about that too. So that was very calming for me. So I appreciate that you shared that, and looking forward to finding out more about it. And then I think the next chapter kind of goes into what happened, and you're recalling it. And so I thought, oh, I'm gonna cry. I don't want to cry right now. So, but it's a good cry, I think. If that's what happens, we'll have to wait and see. Do people cry when they read your book?
I think some people do. It's interesting because so far most of the people I've talked to are people who know me or know me through somebody.
Okay.
So interesting now to start hearing what people think when they have no idea. They don't know my story. They have no attachment.
Do not know your story except for words I picked up because I'm a speed reader. So I kind of glanced through it and I thought, okay, it's the whole out in the shed thing. Ugh. And people who are watching may not know what I'm talking about. Actually, this is a good time to bring up, if you're watching and you have a question or for Anna or myself, please type it in the comments and we will get to it as I try to give my full attention to my guest, but we'll take a look at the comments, and if you have questions, we'll try to catch them up towards the end. But if you'd like to connect with Anna, the Facebook is a great way to connect with people. Just leave a comment. She'll get back to you, or I will, and we'll let you know a link where you could buy the book and follow up with that, because it would make a great gift, if I think, just to yourself, mainly if you're going through this, or you know someone who's going through this, and we'll talk more about what this is, but you know, it's about grief, so, and befriending grief, and I think that's a really important thing to do. So with that said, I've gone ahead and shared out on Facebook, and it's looking really good, and we've had a couple of likes, and a few people are watching live with us right now. So if you want to come to Smile Time, you're welcome to join Smile Time. It's just really easy. There's nothing to download. You could just click on the link through Facebook and come into the Smile Time arena and see us in a little bit more of an intimate setting where you can have a conversation with us via chat. You're not going to be on camera, but it's a little bit more than putting your comments out on Facebook, but you're certainly welcome to do either way. And please share and tell all your friends that we're here talking with Anna Oginski. Anyway, hi. So I'm really interested and happy to hear that you had a life coach who helped you through. Tell me more about that process.
Well, I do talk about this in the book. So my mom was turning 60 about a year after my dad passed away. And it's my mom and my sister and me. And we decided we wanted to take some kind of trip. So we went to Sedona, Arizona, and we did a Sedona soul adventure, which was really exciting. We met with all different kinds of practitioners. And then as a follow-up, Ken, the life coach, called and was helping us try to integrate our experience into our everyday life. And so I started working with him on a regular basis. It was the first time I'd ever worked with any kind of life coach. I've been in therapy, but not. It's a whole different thing.
It is a different thing, and I love that you did that, and that you followed through, and you set some plans and goals for yourself, and that you accomplished them. And so, how would you recommend, or how would you explain to people that life coaching is a good thing for them based on your experience? Is that a good way to say that?
Yeah.
Have you recommended him or just doing that to other people? So what do you say?
So I say I've been working with this life coach, and at the time that was about 5 or 6 years ago. Now life coaching seems to be much more popular. More people are aware of it. But at the time, I had never even heard of that. And the thing I loved about it is that we were working with what was happening in my life right then, and then looking forward. And
it's not trying to fix the past or what made you the way you are. It's about just dealing with what's in the moment and shaping where you're going based on things from your past. Like, it's really great to tap into, the things that you wanted to do when you were a child, and the things that are what make you that you love doing, and bringing that to the forefront. But it's so positive. And a lot of people, and I do recommend to some of my clients that they also go to counseling, because it's different, and it's good to have both. But coaching has kind of gotten a strange name or strange, people are tired of hearing about coaching. So I started using mentoring, life mentor. And I think that that's a great way. I love having a mentor for all different things. So definitely, have you ever thought of doing that yourself, being a coach or mentor?
I don't know. I think that when I teach art or when I do the retreats, it's very similar. And I have a graduate degree in social work, so I feel like I can bring that aspect into it. And, you know, when things come up, when emotions are stirred, I can hold space for that.
Absolutely. Oh, I like that. Hold space for that. That's a nice ways of saying it. So I was coughing right when you said what your degree is in. Your
Social work.
social work. So you're awesome. You really are. How old was your dad when he died?
He was 62.
62. That's really young. I mean, that's like my brother's age.
Way too young to die.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry for your loss. And I feel, you know, it's such a difficult thing. And so what would you say is your main message for writing this book and for doing the whole interview thing and getting your story out? What's your message to people?
Well, I think I didn't really answer the question before about why I wrote this book.
Okay, let's go back to that.
Yeah, well, it's the same answer. It's that when I was grieving, I felt very alone. And like I said, I thought there was a right way to do it, and there isn't. And so I felt if I shared my story, then maybe another person would read it and think, okay, this has been done before. There's a way through. It's not the same way. It's not the same experience, but it has happened. And what I noticed is that there weren't a lot of spaces in my American, you know, white girl culture to talk about grief or to even feel, you know, we're kind of, taught in the culture to be small and quiet and smile and look pretty. And so I felt like all of these feelings, actually feeling them was very healing for me, and that grief is a huge part of that. So I just wanted to create more space to talk about grief and to talk about how it's so normal. It's part of everybody's life. You know, it's really funny because some people say, oh, I would love a copy of this and I'm going to give it to my mom, or I'll give it to my aunt.
Oh, because we don't need to read it right now because this is not something that's part of what I'm doing. Yeah.
So much of what we experience from a very young age is loss. And so I think my hunch is that if we were to explore that all along, then the loss of a loved one or a job or a house, something very devastating, it would still be devastating, but maybe we wouldn't feel so, you know, it wouldn't derail us for so long, perhaps.
Yeah, you know, I think that I'm so glad that you're talking about this because I feel the same way. And I think that what happens is we think we're supposed to, and we do feel like we're going to a deep, dark place. And like, if I even imagine for a second that something were to happen to one of my children, I feel like my life would be over. I would go to bed and just never live again. But yet I know people who've lost their children over accidents and health reasons, and just they have to move on. They have to continue life and have, you know, be there for the other children. And, you know, so you can't just shut down, but you feel like you want to shut down, and that's okay.
Right.
But there's also that feeling of, oh, well, there's those stages, you know, I think by this point, everybody's heard about the stages of grief. And I wrote about another stage of grief where you actually go through all the stages again.
I love it.
It's never over. It's really never over. And I remember my mom talking about her mother and father. They passed before I was even born. But she spoke about them so much that in stories that I felt like I knew them, yet sometimes it was very sad because she was still grieving. And, you know, so anyway, I'm off on a tangent, like you said, you know, we kind of tend to do that, but I think it's really good that you're talking about this and bringing it up. And one of the points you made that I feel the same way about too, is that sometimes when we talk about grief, those emotions lend themselves to other losses, not just the loss of a loved one who's passed away. It's a job. It's the growing up of your children. It could be moving or to a different town, or going through a divorce, or a friend going through a divorce, where things change drastically and are never going to be the same. We go through those stages of grief, and it's heartbreaking, and it's heartbreaking to accept, and it's heartbreaking to embrace life again, because it hurts, but it can be a beautiful relationship with your emotions, like you call it, as a friendship. What made you think of my new friend Grief? Why did you befriend your grieving?
Well, it goes back to making the space for it and sitting with it and looking at it and letting it kind of have its way with me and getting to know it at a level that rather than denying it or pushing it away, really sitting with it and asking, what can you teach me? Or
not everybody gets that we could do that. You can write a letter to grief. You could, you could have a conversation with your emotions, and that's so awakening, isn't it?
Yes.
Because when you read back what you wrote, you have the answers a lot of times, right?
Exactly. Yes. It's funny you should say that, because at my last retreat, we did a meditation, and then we had a dialogue with our grief. And at the end, everything that people shared was so beautiful. And it was as if we were poets just falling out of the sky. And you're right. When you let yourself sit in that space and listen to what's inside you, there's so much in there that is very healing and soothing and comforting.
Yeah. Somebody I know today at the it was a mass for grandparents, got a little teary-eyed, and I noticed, I gave her a little hug, and it was the first time that her grandparents didn't come to the mass because the grandmother had passed away over the past year. And so she was sad, and I said, now she's with you always, right here. And I have that very wonderful feeling that my parents are with me always, but it's just, even saying that, I knew when I said it, it sounded so cliche for her, because that she has to go through what she's going through right now. So, but it's, I love that concept of sitting with it, and that's just great. And your whole retreat thing too, because I do retreats also, but I haven't led a retreat since I was much younger, because I taught confirmation. So I did a lot of retreats with teenagers, and now I work with middle school students.
Oh,
but
wow.
Yeah, we do retreats. So, but it's I enjoy going on retreat because of the reflection. And I think that maybe your book is kind of an extension of a retreat in a way, where you can go to it and experience that. Would you say that's true?
I would not have thought of that myself. I love that idea. And I did try to write it so that it would be short enough that it wasn't a big overwhelming commitment, and that you could even read little bits of it one at a time, and you wouldn't feel like you were missing out on anything. So I think you could use it as a tool in that way, to just kind of, parallel play. Like, oh, this is what she was experiencing. So, like when you asked if people cry, I think people cry because it's a universal experience. And it touches the story, hearing people's stories about grief, like you talking about your parents. I'm so sorry that you've had to go through that. And it touches me,
Yeah, it's hard. My mom died, oh my gosh, I can't even remember what year now. It seems so long ago. 2005. And then my dad died shortly after, about almost 2 years after. And so when my mom died, she had been ill for a very, very long time. And then she was in hospice, and we took care of her at my home, and my kids were little. And so that whole process, and I'm the youngest of the children, of her children, of our, my generation. And I was the only one with little kids. And so just a lot of people didn't think that I should have her. So that whole experience of dealing with her, my dad fell and broke his hip when my mom needed him the most, because I think he was just overwhelmed anyway. So then he had to go into, to recuperate from a surgery. So my sister took him and I took my mom. It was the first time in like 50 years they had been separated from each other. And we had to get through all that. And so we really banded together. And, but nobody expected that the baby sister would be the one carrying, the brunt of this whole experience. And I just embraced it and stepped up. It just changed me dramatically. It strengthened my relationship with my husband. He had to do things that I didn't know he was capable of doing. We had to open our home. We had to still, explain to our children what was going on. It was really, really a difficult time. And then within a couple of years, my dad, he started seeing somebody. Then he was planning a vacation, and he had just gotten through his time of major grief, and was still, just trying to get things together. And he got pneumonia, and he died. It was very shocking. And when I got that call, I thought, this must be a mistake. He's not, he's got a call. I actually said to the doctor who called me from the emergency room, my dad has a really common name. Could this be a mistake? He's, no, you need to get here now. And that was a 2-hour drive. It was 2 hours away. And it was heartbreaking. And it was horrible. And this poor woman who thought she found love with my dad was devastated. She, so that happened. And then a couple years later, my sister passed away. And my sister passed away from liver disease. And that is what my mom had. So that was really, really hard. So after those three, it's hard, like that. I could talk about it without crying. Is pretty, I have to say thank you to the makers of Zoloft and Wellbutrin. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So no, seriously, I have. It's been a long time, and to see the beautiful things that have happened since my sister passed away, like her kids getting married and being in relationships and finishing school and all of those things that I know, I always feel like she's seeing through my eyes. I'm watching over them, and I feel like, I embraced mindfulness so much through all of those things, because those are things you cannot control, you cannot change, and you can only change what you have alive in front of you and with you, and so acceptance is a huge part of who I am, and it's because of those things. And I wrote about those things in my book, but my book wasn't about those things. It just was part of what I was going through. What I did is I was blogging and writing a journal blog, and I took all of the writings and put them together and produced a book. So I never sat down to write a book. I had all of the writing done already, and just put it together in a book that, if you read it cover to cover, you find out kind of what I went through. But so anyway, that is what happened with me. And so I just grew up and changed so much during that time. My parents were older when they had me. My mom they were 40 when they had me. So I always feared that they would die young, and that I would be young when they died. And I was in my 30s when they died. But, they were around long enough to be great, wonderful grandparents to my kids, and my kids remember them. And, so it was, it was their time, and it worked. My sister, on the other hand, she was only 55.
Oh,
yeah. So it was hard.
That's a lot. That is so much. And were you a life coach then, or was that?
Oh, no, that came from that. So when and those interviews turn on me. Interesting. I'm sorry, I'm oversharing. I don't usually do that, but we have so much in common. I want you to know why I said that. So no, what happened was I was feeling so lost after losing my 3 members of my family. My whole family dynamics changed. Up until then, everything was centered around what my parents were doing, and they, all the family events were there. It was, and suddenly it was my older brother and his family and me and my kids and my husband, and I just felt like, what do I do now? I think up until that point, my sole existence was real, not sole existence, because motherhood and being a wife was great and everything, but I still had that mindset where I wanted to make my parents proud. I wanted to prove myself to them. I felt like everything that I did was really about doing, like you said, like the right things. And suddenly I realized there were a couple of weird realizations I had. One was they're not around to really see what I'm doing anymore. And then on the other hand, I felt like now they know everything. They know everything now. So I was really free. And I thought, this isn't what I want to do with my life. This isn't, I haven't done it yet. What should I do? So I did this, started blogging, and a friend of mine said, you should do a year with yourself. This is this great program. Have you heard of it? A year with myself? No. And it was 52 weeks of prompts from women who were just remarkable authors and writers and coaches from around the world. And there were different levels. I had I paid for the basic level, so I didn't have all the materials, but I had the prompt and some reading, and then you wrote about it, and which I shared on my blog. And it was a whole year of self work, of learning, tapping into all the different topics of what it takes to become a woman and to understand yourself. And it changed me completely. And through that, meeting all those coaches, that's what I wanted to do. So then I had set a goal to, I wanted some certification. I wanted some title other than mother. So I had worked in lots of different fields and had lots of great jobs. And I'd been in management and retail and stuff, but I wanted to be something, and I thought, well, okay, I can take this certification course and become a certified professional life coach. And so I did, and having that certificate was like just a huge accomplishment. And I haven't really made a lot of money, but I do have clients. I do have people that I follow up with and do the thing. There's the one I learned was a specific way of doing a vision for people. So but I learned a lot anyway. So that's the long story. And then, but yeah, I think that just following through on things was something that I never really did before. So, I started a lot of things. So that's really what changed. So and then, I very much similar story. I was being interviewed for my book by a life coach who asked me, I think I said, I always wanted to do a podcast or some type of show. And she said, why don't you? It's kind of challenged me and said, you should do it. I thought, I don't have any answer for why don't you? I have a lot of why I should, but I didn't have an answer for why not. There was no reason. Nothing was stopping me. I had the equipment already. My husband had a podcast. I had, the certification. I could talk about what I, love to talk about. And so that night I stayed up really all night long. I couldn't sleep, and I just kept thinking about everything I learned. And if I applied what I truly wanted to do, like someone said, you could do what you really want to do. What is it? It would be have my own TV show, a talk show, and interview people. And it would be have a Hollywood theme. And I would highlight the superstars that, are people who are inspiring and who've done what I've done. And that's when Tinsel Town was born. So
That's amazing.
I'm in my 3rd year now, and I've interviewed over 100 people, and I only answer to myself. I haven't monetized it. I haven't produced it other than just really for the sake of keeping it all like in check of just following through on my dream. And
Oh,
yeah, so that's what I do. And it's just been remarkable because I started with do you do a theme, like a word for the year or one word intention? Have you heard of that? So I started doing that back when I did a year with myself. It's like 5 years now. And so this past year, I actually went with 3 words. The first time I went with 3 words, which were connect, create, and sparkle.
ooh.
So yeah, and so that connect really has been amazing because making a connection is more than meeting people. It's having this,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
and where your heads just go together and it's like that mind meld. You're like, wow, I totally get that person. And so I've done that week after week, and it's been a trip, really.
That must be so neat to meet people doing all different kinds of things.
You know, it is. I love it. I love it. And it's, you know how I know, you know how like after you go on a retreat, you have that 4th day feeling where everybody's just hugging and loving and you want it to keep going. And so I feel that way with the people that I meet. I believe it's meant to be for when that we, for whatever reason, I opened that email and I responded and you responded and here we are. And then you have a friend for life, you know, so.
Oh, I love
Pretty
it.
cool. It's pretty cool. It's not regular promotion, you know, like I feel you probably feel that way with your book. You know, that's why I asked you about your message, because it's not you're just trying to promote yourself or promote your book. It's you're getting your message across, and that's what's important. That's why you're a superstar, Anna. That's why you're on Tinsel Town.
I wondered how I
It makes sense, doesn't it?
Thank you.
You are.
Yeah, and it's true when you have something like that you care so deeply about. I really believe that we need to make more space for feelings in our lives.
Yes.
I think we're seeing that now, you know, post-election, that
Wow.
feelings, you know, and people don't want to watch it. It's so hard, and I don't know. I think we don't do ourselves any favor by stuffing them, and I think it hurts us physically, and it's stress inducing. So, and it, you know, when you were talking about the series of losses that you had in your life, that was the other thing I learned about grief, that each time you experience a loss, it can trigger all the, you know, anything that wasn't processed beforehand.
Yeah, you do. And if you're watching that list of grief and you feel like you're sliding back, or that you're, you know, and it's hard to understand. So it's beautiful that you're explaining that and embracing it, because those feelings are just like, I had people actually ask me, you know, because I became so emotional and publicly, and people are like, you know, how do you handle that? And I said, you know, I love when I cry, I feel good. I feel better. Don't feel sorry for me. You should be happy for me, because I'm, you know, this is part of what it happens to people. So, you know, I actually lost 3 of my best friends afterwards too. I had a lot of loss. I lost friends out of broken relationships, but I also lost a few of my best friends that were really close to me that died also. So it's been I wouldn't say friend. I would say, like, you know, grief is just always there, part of my family, you know. So it's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. And I think it's hard to embrace the idea that it could be a friend. You know, sometimes I've had people say, "What are you talking about? The grief's not my friend."
Yeah.
And I totally get that, because it doesn't seem like a friend. But I guess if you broaden your definition of friend,
right.
or a mentor, like you were saying. Yeah. And I think that if you were just watching this, you might think, "Oh, that's so easy for her to say." It's hard. That this is all hard lessons to learn, and I'm removed from it now, so I can look back with perspective that I definitely did not have.
How
when
long has it been since your dad passed?
It'll be 7 years in March.
So I have a friend who, many people who are, if it's been within a year, it may be too hard for you to even listen to us talk about it right now. And that's okay.
Yeah.
I have people who I know who I'd love to hear this message, but they have to be ready for it. So, but I just want to tell you, Anna, some of your friends are making comments who are watching right now. And Chris says, friends with Anna is such a gem. It's so grateful she's in my life. And Elena says, Anna is an angel. So yeah, I believe that's true. I think that angels come into our life in this way. And I'm just happy that I'm meeting you now. Tell me, what would you say is your core value? And if it's changed from before and after this experience with writing the book, what is your main purpose?
Mm-hmm. Well, again, another thing in common, it's connection.
That's awesome.
I think that's kind of my mission in life, is to be connected. In fact, my business is called Heart Connected.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
And to, be connected internally, and then to the world around me, and with people and our creator and creation. I mean, all of it, to me, it's just all about making those connections and appreciating that opportunity.
And has that changed was this something you've always felt?
No. Well, in fact, I'm kind of an introvert, so even to say that seems like sometimes a stretch for me. But I would say before this whole experience, I was, I have a funny story about a value. When I was in graduate school, I started graduate school in social work and found out that I was pregnant. And so for the first year, at the end of the first year of graduate school, my son was born. And then I took a year and a half off. And then I went to the first class, and the professor, I was older. Most of the students were fresh out of college, but the professor gave us an assignment to pair up and to talk about our values. And I had been at home with my son for a year and a half. And I remember her face, my partner, and she said, "Do you want to go first?" And I said, "I don't even know what a value is." I couldn't even wrap my head around values.
Right. At the time, right.
Right. And so I think, I can't even remember I know that my family was really important to me. So maybe it was connection, but just not mindfully, that my relationships, my friendships, my husband, my children, my family, those things were always important to me. And maybe in a way I took them for granted. Maybe it wasn't an intentional co-creation. It was just sort of, "Oh, you're my mom. I love you."
Yeah.
Does that
because that's the right thing every time. I think that maybe it's our generation that feels that, or that you've got to do right by it. It's awkward. It's awkward. And when you're talking to people who are from a lot of different backgrounds or whatever, you have to be careful, because you never know if somebody out there doesn't have that same connection with their parents, or doesn't understand, or had a bad experience growing up. And so, we're all from different planes, but we are all connected. I totally believe that. Mm-hmm. And that the human experience, no matter how different it is for anybody, we have those basic emotions and feelings and needs and desires. And so sometimes I'll ask, what someone's core desire is, but I feel like you really put it out there, and but that core value, I really loved exploring what my values were, and also the relationships values. My husband and I went over what his values were and what the values for our relationship was, and that was a wonderful exercise, because we discovered a lot. And of course, having that discussion really solidified, who we are as a couple. And now that my kids are getting older, I'd like to have that conversation with them. I think it's important for all relationships. And so, we don't talk about values enough. I really don't think that we do, but you do, and I do. And yay, we're getting it out there across the miles from California to Michigan. So exciting. So tell me a little bit more. I'm for a few more minutes. Tell me a little bit more about your interests, your yoga and the retreats and what else do you do? Tell me more about you, Anna.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. The first thing that came to mind is I was wondering if I had any binge watching that I've been doing lately.
Oh, good. What shows do you like to watch?
I've been watching Better Things. It's on FX. It is such a fun show. It's about this woman she's an actor in LA, and she has 3 daughters, and she's a single mom, and it's just about their adventures together.
So I'm going to write that down. Better Things.
Better Things. I love it. It makes me laugh. I tear up sometimes.
That sounds a lot better than my binge watching, because I'm more like about what's his name? That really dark story with I'm gonna forget. Sorry, senior moment. I'll go back to it. Dexter. Thank you.
Dexter.
Yeah, Dexter is not like the feel-good show, but it's it's addictive. It is. And Nurse Jackie too. I binged watched that. Oh my gosh, that was good. But I'd rather go on to some Better Things. So that sounds like fun.
It's nice. Short, so you can get it in real quick, and then you can feel effective.
Yeah, no, I will truly do the binge thing. It'll be like a weekend where I know I don't have a lot to do, and I will just stay up all night and just watch, a whole season.
So fun. I love that.
My husband and I watched West Wing like that. Have you ever watched it?
Not in years.
Oh, we've seen it probably 3 times through now, but it's really good. It's really good. We learned a lot about politics.
Yeah, you have to dig that up.
It's so dramatic. It's really good. So there's a lot. But what other ones? I'm okay. You now.
Well, it's been a while. Okay, so I can't really think of any shows that I've been watching lately. But I love to read. I'm a self-help junkie, so I read a lot of books about, spirituality and having a broad view of the world. I am into angels, so
good.
Yeah. My kids are at ages where their needs are different than when they were babies. So they're very independent, and yet I really enjoy spending time with them because they're so funny, and we can have fun things together. My 2 younger ones are on the Musical.ly app. Have you ever heard of it?
Musical.ly? Yes.
Little videos. So
yes. That's fun.
Yeah. So we do dancing. I don't know. I feel like I'm just a regular woman doing the mom thing and trying my best.
Yeah, and you know what? You identify with what most people are going through. I think that what we're used to seeing in the limelight, in the spotlight, in the media, and the news are the extreme, but we see it so much that we believe that that's what everything is like. But what I'm finding is that most people are like you and me. We like to watch TV and read and, cook and do yoga. I used to do yoga. I've got to get back into it because I love yoga. But, and we want to succeed, and we want to try things and finish them and become like you became a teacher. It's not enough just to take the class. We've got to go and do it because, gosh darn, we can. We can do what we want. It's exciting. And so, I think that it's important for us to be taking up some of that space, that negativity, and balancing it out with a lot of positivity and hope.
Right.
you know. And so that's so important. That's what my message is about. Just increasing the amount of positivity and appreciating the normalcy of what we are, as a society.
I think that definitely brings us back together. Like you were saying, the extremes. There are so many ways that we can feel divided, and that is one of them. When all you're seeing is people who don't look like you or have interests the same as you, and it just seems like, wow, I'm on this journey all by myself. But when you see other people, out there doing the best they can, I feel like we all have the same kind of core, just wanting to experience life and take care of our people. And
it's about, you're yearning for that. We want to, the first year that I did a word, I did the word experience and embracing the experiences. And I think that until then, I was going through motions and trying to achieve things and not just enjoying what it was like to experience life. And so, I think that's what most of society is doing, unless they're overachievers or they're trying to, make a lot of money. And it's always shocking for people to realize that there are some people like myself not really wanting to make a lot of money. I want to have money and I want to be, self-sustained and to be able to provide some luxuries for my kids and myself. But I'm not really about making a ton of money. It's just not important to me. So, that's really what most people are like, believe it or not, I'm finding. So it's about relationships and about love, So
I agree.
Tell me more about angels, because I keep taking your time, and because you make me want to talk about these subjects. And now I can't talk because I'm getting a cough. But my mom really believed in angels. She was visited by angels, and I've had a visit. Have you ever seen an angel?
Yeah, I have.
Tell me.
Well, the first time I remember seeing, I was at a funeral at a Catholic church, and I could see angels everywhere, all around. And it was the first time I had actually seen them like that. Mostly I could feel them, or I felt like I could, commune with them after my dad died. And seeing them, it was just so beautiful. And, I kind of wonder if maybe that what I was seeing was like my mind kind of presented these bodies and, this beauty, because it seems like they're probably just energy or light and maybe not bodies. But
spirits, though. You felt
the
spirit of individuals. That's amazing. How did that make you feel? Is it life-changing or satisfying in some way?
I think it is life-changing, because I believe that it's there all the time, and that it's just a matter of opening up to it. And that, like, in that moment, I believe that every little moment has the potential to change your life, just because it could be from sort of, being on autopilot to being fully engaged and experiencing something. And so in that moment, I felt that love, that being held, that sense of all of us together. And when I'm tuning in to that kind of energy, that's what I feel. And it's so hopeful and inspiring, like you were saying.
That's peace. And I think that that's what angels are. Their message is about peace, and they bring peace, and they make us feel peace. And when I was pregnant with my first son, Julian, I was so afraid. I was so afraid of anything going wrong, and anything going wrong with the pregnancy, or anything. Was I going to be a good mother? All those things that new mothers experience. And I just couldn't sleep. And one night I woke up just startled with this. It used to be that we could only sleep in a really dark room, during that time. So we had very thick drapes and no light. We didn't even, we would even cover our clock, our digital clock, so that there wouldn't be any light in the room. It was really dark, and you could open your eyes and it still seemed dark. And I opened my eyes and I saw bright lights at the end of at the foot of the bed. There were 3 angels, and the lights were their light was so bright that when I closed my eyes, I could still see the image because it was in my retina, but it couldn't have been anything else because the room was pitch black. And I felt this feeling of peace, just like they just made me believe that everything was going to be okay, and that my child was going to be great, and that I didn't have to worry at all. And I literally, he's 21 now, and I sometimes I get concerned about him, of course, and I worry about the unknown, but I know that he's going to be okay. And it just gave me so much feeling of warmth, like you said, like you're taken care of. It's so beautiful. I love hearing these stories.
Yeah, I used to wonder, is this real?
Right.
You know, I wanted some kind of logical explanation, but I don't even bother with that anymore, because if it makes you feel good and peaceful and loved, why question it?
Exactly. Like OCD. You know what? It doesn't hurt anybody if you wash your hands a lot. You know?
I don't know anything about that.
You don't?
No, I'm kidding.
You do, don't you? Everybody has it. There's little things that we do that they're a little quirky, and I feel like, you know, acceptance of self is just as important as acceptance of others. And so, you know, I had to grapple with that with body image, and now I'm on the other end of it. I'm like so accepting. I'm letting myself go, and I have got to be healthier. So, you know, that's the next thing. And I've been saying that for years, but it really is now, because I can have that same disease that my sister and my mom had. So I'm going to try to get fit and live a little bit longer. So, but you know, I feel like we could talk forever, and that I really wish we could have coffee together sometime, because, you know, that's what Tinsel Town is really about, just being yourself and being able to talk. But hopefully we get together again soon.
Yeah, that would be great.
Let's talk about what you want people to take away and how to get your book.
Okay. So the takeaway is feel whatever you need to feel for as long as it takes, with no judgment and no expectations.
Ooh.
That's my message.
Okay, I'm wrapping my head around that. Feel whatever you need to feel.
Whatever comes up.
With no judgments. I love that.
And no expectations.
And no expectations. That's life. That's wonderful.
Life. And then the book is available on Amazon. And
I never spell judgments right. I just want you to know. But so that's what she says. So okay, go with that. And then you were saying on Amazon, you could probably look up. Do you have an author page?
I do. I get really easily distracted, so I was trying to be fully present and not have.
That's okay. I should have the link ready for you. I'm sorry, but if you go to Amazon.com and look up My New Friend Grief, you will find it, and you should buy it and then tell us what you think.
Yeah. Also on BarnesandNoble.com and Balboa Press, where I put my self-publishing, they sell it too.
That's probably the best place to get it, right? Balboa Press. So you got to check that out. Mm-hmm. And we'll put the links in on Facebook. And if you have any questions or want to connect with Anna or myself, please type in a message and we'll be happy to get back to you. And Anna, I can't believe it's been an hour, and it's just been delightful to get to know you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy, if for no other reason, that marketing was worth it to me.
Oh.
So happy.
Well, thank you. Thank you. You are not alone, and you have a wonderful message, and I want to take your retreat in your yoga class. So namaste, right? Yeah. So, do you have any questions for me or anything that I could do for you?
Oh, thank you. That's nice. No, when you have a chance to read the book, if you like it, just spread the word, because I'm serious about how lonely it is, and how, if it can help anyone feel less lonely or more normal, or even just think, wow, I'm in really good shape. This woman was a wreck.
Yeah, well, if they think that, then they haven't experienced everything yet, right? But no, it's some people handle things differently. But I think that we all do need a friend. Who doesn't need a friend? And it's nice to make a friend with you, Anna. And thank you so much for writing your book and for putting yourself out there and for being the superstar that you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. That's so kind of you.
Well, my pleasure. It's great to get to know you, and I hope to see you again soon. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. So good night, everybody. Thank you for being with us on Tinsel Town Live on Facebook. And I just should probably mention that next week I have an interview with Maggie Simone, and Maggie's book, let's see if I have it here. I do. This is going to be another hot topic and difficult to discuss, but so important. And I mentioned OCD a little bit, but her book is Body Punishment.
Oh.
And she talks about healing when you have a child or if you yourself are going through some serious issues with body punishment or cutting and things like that. And so, being mindful of life is not just about being mindful of the good, fun things that we get to go through. We have to be mindful and accepting of anything that we have to face so that we could be strong. And the more we talk about it, the better it will be for our children and for to live long lives. So join me next week as we talk about that serious topic, but it's going to be about healing, so it can still be positive and wonderful. And we'll hear what Maggie says about that. So I'm looking forward to meeting her, and hopefully we'll see Anna again soon. Okay, so good night, everybody.